The Grafenort concentration camp, as treated in the present article, is a conventional name for three separate Nazi concentration camps that functioned in the village of Grafenort on the territory of Nazi Germany during the Second World War. The first of them, not in chronological order, is the all-female Arbeitslager, a slave labor that functioned only in 1945 as a subcamp of Gross-Rosen, whose detainees were exclusively Jewish women deported from Poland, regardless of nationality. The second is Overview, located in an expropriated Renaissance castle. The concentration camp was operational throughout the war, but for 68 days, 2 months and a week, was formerly run as an all-female subcamp, Frauenarbeitslager, of Gross-Rosen between the 1st of March 1945 and the 8th of May 1945, the latter being the date of its liberation by the Soviets. In the aftermath of the strategic liquidation of the Mittelsteiner concentration camp in the latter weeks of the war, a move which the Nazis initiated owing to the advancing Eastern Front. In the course of liquidating Mittelsteiner, the Nazis transferred between 250 and 300 female prisoners from Mittelsteiner to Grafenort. Some sources put the documented number of prisoners evacuated from Mittelsteiner to Grafenort in April 1945 at 400. All of the prisoners in the transfer were women of Jewish ethnicity originally deported from the region of Łódź. The distance between the Mittelsteiner and Grafenort concentration camps is about 21 kilometers, 13 miles, as the crow flies, or 28 kilometers, 17 miles, by road. The reasons behind the liquidation of the Mittelsteiner concentration camp and the transfer of its inmates to two other camps, one of them being Grafenort, have not been fully understood by historians. See also the history of the Mittelsteiner concentration camp. The Grafenort concentration camp was one of the Kuchenose group of 13 subcamps of Gross-Rosen, located in the Riesengebirge, the so-called Ries group, which were concentrated primarily in the region of the Owl Mountains. The group of camps held collectively over 13,000 prisoners, of whom approximately 40% perished from hunger and exhaustion brought about by slave labor. Location: the camp was situated in the locality called since the latter part of the 17th century Grafenort, renamed Gorzenau after 1945, in what was at the time of the camp's existence the territory of the Third Reich, about 10.5 kilometers to the north of Bystricke Klotzka, Habelschwert, the nearest larger town within the region of Lower Silesia that was awarded to Poland after the war. The regional metropolis of Wrocław, Breslau, is 103 kilometers, 64 miles, to the northeast, while Prague in the Czech Republic is 203 kilometers, 126 miles, away in the opposite direction. The camp was located on the premises of Grafenort Castle, Schloss Grafenort, in the village of Grafenort. Grafenort Castle had been used for the quartering of military garrisons, as large as 200 strong. In earlier times, some works of reference indicate simply a pre-existing masonry building, Murwini Budynek, lying on the periphery of the village as the site of the camp. Sarah Ziskind, a survivor, recalls that the truck in which the female prisoners were deported from Mittelsteiner to Grafenort pulled up in front of one of the mansions of which the village of Grafenort was full, but one, much larger than the others and situated somewhat apart, which is consistent with the description of Grafenort Castle. Another famous survivor, Sarah Selverer-Bach, writes about the prisoners' delusions indulged in for the sake of mutual moral support and survival. Already in Mittelsteiner, we heard about the princely palaces in which we would be housed. At the new camp in Grafenort, explanation added, about the regal, magnificent beds that would be ours. about the gold plate off which we would be served meat and every other delicacy. Scornfully, would tell each other those tales with cynical disbelief. But the joke was of another kind altogether. The old building of the new camp had indeed been a regal palace previously, but its looks and accommodations have been transformed thoroughly for the purpose of housing us. The first impression was a shock. All the windows were boarded and barred with barbed wire, exactly like the gypsy compound adjoining the Łódź ghetto. Our second impression, when we entered the palatial hall, was even more horrifying. The place was not divided into rooms, and contained no bunks whatsoever. Not even our former tiered shelves. All the inmates lay sprawled on the floor, all of them together in that one single hall which, to us, looked suddenly like a morgue. Filthy blankets, bulging pallets almost glued to one another all over the floor. However, the physical description of the camp in the report of Ruth Minisky's sender, another survivor, differs markedly, suggesting more than one facility associated with the Grafenort concentration camp. Sender, in her book The Cage, speaks about many barracks spread about a large field, with rows and rows of wooden bunks reaching to the ceiling. Clearly, the Grafenort concentration camp consisted of at least two parts where the prisoners were held. The slave labor consisted in building fortifications, anti-tank trenches, against the advancing eastern front of the Allies. And the camp was perhaps the most notorious among all Nazi female concentration camps for the brutality of the treatment of prisoners. Bella Gutman, the director of the International Institute for Holocaust Research, singles out Grafenort as the only camp where women prisoners were employed exactly like men in grueling excavation work. Liberation. The Grafenort concentration camp was liberated, according to best sources, on 8 May 1945. Some sources indicate the date of the liberation of the camp as 7 May 1945 or 9 May 1945. According to the information collected by the Holocaust Education and Archive Research Team and other researchers, no Gross-Rosen subcamp was liberated on 7 May. All of the Gross-Rosen subcamps were liberated between 8 and 9 May 1945. The first Soviet soldier to enter Grafenort, a Russian Jew, was overcome with emotion when he realized that there were still some survivors left at the camp. Notable inmates: Ruth Minisky sender, writer, bibliography, Obozy Hitlerowski na Ziemiach Polskich 1939–1945. Informator Encyclopediczny. Ed. C. said. Pilichowski, A.L. For the Glona Komisja Badania Z. Brodny Hitlerowskich W. Polson the Radiochrony Pomnikov Walki I. Mekazenstwa. Warsaw. Państwowe Wydawnictwo Naukowe. 1979. p. 509. ISBN 83016551. Alfred Konieczny. Kabaya Tw Obozy Koncentracyjnym Gross-Rosen W. Latik 1944–1945. Wrocław. Zakład Narodowy im. Ossolińskich. 1982. Roman Modulansky. Comp. and ed. The Ghetto Anthology. A comprehensive chronicle of the extermination of Jewry in Nazi death camps and ghettos in Poland. Rev. B. Gray. Los Angeles. American Congress of Jews from Poland and Survivors of Concentration Camps. 1985. Page 246. Zygmunt Zonuk. Anus Belli. Uakuakuri Wise Wolini Hitlerowskich Obozo Koncentracyjnych. Warsaw. Państwowe Wydawnictwo Naukowe. 1988. ISBN 8301083255. Inconceivably, the Grafenort concentration camp is misnamed Grafendorf. Sic. In this source, Encyclopedia of the Holocaust. ed. I. Gutman. Volume 1. New York, Macmillan Publishing Company. 1995. Pages 624 to 625. ISBN 0028960904. OK. Encyclopedia des Holocaust. Die Verfolgung und der Mord an der europäischen Juden. Ed. E. Jekyll. al. Volume 1. Berlin. Argon. 1993. Page 571. ISBN 3870243007. ISBN 3870243015. Women in the Holocaust. A Collection of Testimonies. Comp. and T.R. J. Abschutz and A. Ellenberg Abschutz. Volume 2. Brooklyn, New York. Remember. 1994. Pages 67, 204 to 205. ISBN 0932351468. ISBN 0932351476. Alfred Konieczny. Frauen im Konzentrationslager Gross-Rosen in den Jahren 1944-1945. Walbrook. Panstwau Museum Gross-Rosen. 1994. Benjamin and Vladka Mead Registry of Jewish Holocaust Survivors. Volume 2. Washington, D.C. United States Holocaust Memorial Council in cooperation with the American Gathering of Jewish Holocaust Survivors. 1996. Pages 267 to 268. ISBN 0896041581. Studia nad fascismem iz brodnymi Hitlerovskimi. Ed. K. Jonker. Volume 22. 2136. Wrocław. Wydawnictwo Uniwersytetu Wrocławskiego. 1999. Page 375. ISBN 83222920474. ISSN 02396661. ISSN 01371126. An extremely important source. Edward Basiligo. 900 lat Jelene Gori. Teddy Prezesla Historia. Kalendrium Wydarzeń W. Kotliny Jeleniogorskiej I. J. Jokolikark. Jelenia Gora. 2010. See online. Andrzej Strzelecki. Deportacja YDOWZ Getalodzkiego de KL Auschwitz I Zaglada. Opracowani I Wybor Z Rodel. Ed. T. Wiebocker. Oswiecim. Panstwau Museum Auschwitz-Birkenau. 2004. ISBN 8335526,804. Filiobazu Konzentracijnego Gross-Rosen. Informator. Walbrook. Museum Gross-Rosen. 2008. pp. 35. And Passam. ISBN 9783889824073. OK. Der Ort des Terrors. Geschichte der Nationalsozialistischen Konzentrationslager. eds. W. Benz and B. Distel. al. Volume 8. Riga Kaiserwald. Warschau. Vivera. Cowen. Kaunas. Plazo. Kulmhof Chelmno. Belzec. Sobibor. Treblinka. Munich. Beck. 2008. p. 324. ISBN 9783406572371. OK. Bella Gutterman. A Narrow Bridge to Life. Jewish Forced Labor and Survival in the Gross-Rosen Camp System. 1940 to 1945. Tr. IBRT. New York. Berghahn Books. 2008. ISBN 9781845452063. ISBN 1845452062. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum Encyclopedia of Camps and Ghettos. 1933 to 1945. Ed. G. P. Mega J. Volume 1. Early camps, youth camps, and concentration camps and subcamps under the SS Business Administration Main Office. WVHA. Bloomington, Indiana. Indiana University Press. In association with the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. 2009. Pages 700, 737 to 738. 766. ISBN 9780253354297. OK. See also. Mittelsteiner concentration camp. Gross-Rosen concentration camp. List of subcamps of Gross-Rosen. List of Nazi German concentration camps. History of children in the Holocaust.